Welcome back to IELTS preparation. Today it's lesson 4 and this is writing tips. We're going to look at what the examiners are looking for and some tips on writing in general. So the writing section of the exam is 60 minutes and there are two parts. The first part is 150 or more words and the second part is 250 or more. So the 150 should take you around 20 minutes and you really need to plan and stick to your time carefully. And the second part should take 40 minutes. If you're doing academic, then your part 1 is going to be describing graphs or charts or tables or diagrams, and you must follow the instructions properly. And in general, you're going to write a letter. It may be formal, semi-formal, or informal. And then for the task 2 or part 2, you've got 40 minutes and it's going to be an argument, a problem, or an opinion. So let's see what you marked on. You marked on task response, coherence and cohesion, vocabulary, grammatical range, and accuracy. And what does this mean? So let's look at them one by one. Task response is, did you answer the question in full? It means everything. So you get a highlighter or a pen and you mark, did I answer this? Did I answer that? On the paper, the papers you hand back in, but you can write on them. They're not reused. So you can underline what are the questions. Sometimes it could be in sort of 2 parts. So answer the question in full, and if asked, then provide examples and opinions. And make sure the examiner can see it. So you're going to say, in my opinion, or for example. And the answering the question in full includes the number of words. So if you write less than 150 words, you have not answered the question correctly. And how do you improve? Well, planning. Planning is key. We're going to talk about planning and how to plan, but it's so important to plan your writing before you start. I've been teaching English for a very long time, so I know that I can identify immediately if someone hasn't planned their writing, so please plan it. Coherence and cohesion. That is how your ideas are organized and how they're connected. You've got to link your sentences and then you have to link your paragraphs. So when you're planning, you look at it and you say, okay, I want to say that, but logically what comes after that? And maybe you want to not go to the next one in sequence, but choose something else and then come back to and change the sequence. You don't have to plan something and stick to the sequence of the plan. That's the purpose of doing things like a mind map. And then also make sure that you don't talk about a variety of different topics in a paragraph. And that happens if you don't plan. So here the key is planning and using the correct linking words so that it follows on in a nice sequence. And then vocabulary and paraphrasing, and avoiding repetition, they all go together because it's all about vocabulary. Do you have sufficient vocabulary? So if you're describing a chart and it's going up, and you say it's going up, or it's going up some more, and it's going up, and still it's going up, you're just repeating the same thing over. So how do you say that in another way? You say it ascends, it rises, it goes up. So you need to be able to say the same thing in many different ways. And that might mean that you have to improve your vocabulary on this. And then the last thing that they're looking for is your grammatical range and accuracy. So if they ask you a question and it's about the past, you write in the past. If it's present, present, and it's future, future. And sometimes they'll mix it up and say this happened in the past, but what's going to happen in 2050? So they're mixing up the past, present, and future. So watch your grammar there. And also your tenses, prepositions, on, at, under, over, and articles. You know, English is, even in English, you know something is singular from the way the word is, but you still put a or the in front of it. So know when to use the articles, when to use them correctly. Watch your punctuation as well. So how do you improve on that? You practice different types of sentences, simple short sentences, compound sentences, and complex sentences. And here, be very careful when you're mixing these sentences. Don't make your sentences too long, because if your sentence is too long, maybe it becomes confusing. So I say on average around 17 words per sentence for a 5 or 5.5 IELTS level. And so some will be shorter, maybe some will be 4 or 5 words, doesn't matter. And some will be longer, but watch that you don't lose the meaning because your sentences are too long and complicated. Right, so what about some general tips? Well, first of all, make sure you understand and answer the question. Very, 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 very important. Second, practice paraphrasing and vocabulary. So if you look at something, say, how do they say this in another way? And remember, you need this for the reading. And when you go to university or study or when you work, you're going to need this to be able to paraphrase accurately. Then identifying whether something's formal or informal. In writing, in any writing, it doesn't matter if it's an email, if it's a report, if it's a memo, if it's whatever it is, you're going to have an introduction, you're going to have a body, and you're going to have a closing or conclusion. And then use cohesive vocabulary. So use those cohesion words. But most importantly, plan, plan, and plan. So that's the end of that for now, but we're going to see you next time for some writing practice. So I hope this was useful and look forward to seeing you in the next one.